at y'all, look at y'all. All right, so here we are, we're back again. I'm so excited today that we're still in this what if. What if, man? This thing has been stirred up, man. This thing has really helped a lot of people think through some things, and we're going to get to that. But I just want to, first of all, just announce who's with me today. Bobby always teased me about saying stuff like this, but I'm going to say it because I mean it. Say it with my chest. My favorite people is right here. And so what we have Bobby, who is our discipleship growth pathway pastor, leader, director, as well as Kids Zone director. So he's our Kids Zone director. And then we also have Jamie, who is the incredible, wonderful wife, who really is the boss behind all of the stuff, makes it happen. But then also, Jamie has operated on multiple levels with Landmark Church, one being our count team leader. And so just want to thank you guys for being with us. As today, they really don't know what we're really going to talk about. They kind of got an idea, but like this is coming raw. All right?
Pray for me, Landmark.
All right. So what we're going to talk about today is this whole idea of expectations. And I'm asking the question, what if we decreased our expectations of others and we increase the expectation of ourselves? What if we decrease the expectation of others and increase our expectation of ourselves? And I want to just, by a quick definition of expectation, the word expectation means a strong belief that something will happen. Like the belief that my kids are going to act right. Or be the case in the future, that maybe one day they'll get themselves together. I just wish it was now. Another definition, a belief that someone will or should achieve something. It's the idea of just putting your belief that you're going to do better. And so I want to ask you, like, what are some things that you've seen in people that maybe they've had false expectations or you've had unmet expectations coming down the pipe, coming down the road, just in your own life, like where you've seen unmet expectation, and it really has bothered you. And if you want, I will go first on this one.
Wow.
I got so many.
To think, when you first asked the question, it caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Because as an educator, we're told the best thing we can do is to have higher expectations.
Yeah.
And when we have high expectations of students, then it helps them to succeed.
So having high expectations, it helps them to succeed. So what happens when they don't meet the expectations?
Then you start to question whether some of it was your fault. Even though you tend, and the same thing happens as a parent as well. You feel like you put supports in place. You feel like you coach your kids well.
Yeah.
And then when they don't meet the expectations, then you feel like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Or what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
Or why did I fail?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, is there anything you want to say about that? Because children are definitely one of those. I remember with Kaylin, early on with Kaylin, I had this expectation. I'm a musician. I thought Kaylin for sure was going to play music. Like early on, I started playing when I was 10 years old. I really started gigging when I was 12. And Kaylin was like 14, 15 years old. And I'm like, man, don't you care about music? Don't you care about sports? I had an expectation that he was going to do that. And man, I tell you, I was disappointed at the time.
So I think sometimes there are different levels of expectation.
Okay.
Sometimes we put too high of expectation on our kids. We expect them to, I say on Joy all the time about her grades.
Okay.
Joy is a 4.0. But when she falls short of that 4.0, does that mean that she really wasn't doing her best?
Yeah.
Does that mean that she couldn't have done something different? Maybe.
Do you feel like that's a reflection on you? When
I think every parent does.
I think that's so loaded it because for a long time, you know, your kids don't do the things that you feel they should do.
Right.
And by things that we feel they should do, I mean just be good people. Like just do the things that they're supposed to do.
Look, let me just, you got it. You're all over it because here's the thing, Bobby, here's the thing. We have expectation on our kids that they're not going to get in trouble with the law.
Right.
That they're not going to go out there and smoke themselves to death. That they're not going to get out there and get a DUI. Right. We got all of these expectations, and if we could, let's just be honest about, like, there are times that they will not meet our expectations.
They will not. They're living their lives. And, you know, I feel like I've gotten you to the point where you know right from wrong. I've taught you right from wrong. So now I have to sit back and trust the process that you're going to do what's right.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing it at that moment or not.
I love that.
Come back around.
Right. I love that. Now, I don't want you to give the answer yet. We building up some tension right now, right? Because you're trying to solve the problem. We ain't going to solve the problem.
I don't think I can solve these problems.
Right. But this is real. I mean, even when it comes to our significant others and, you know, like, me and Betty talked about, like, honestly, look, unmet expectations all over the place. Like, I thought you would handle money differently, or I thought I'd get more back rubs, you know? Right?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Right?
I think with that is we have to be honest with our expectations and realize that with expectation comes communication. You can't expect the other person to do something without communicating to them what it is you want them to do. So if I expect Bobby to make me a meal, then I have to have a conversation with him. He's not a mind reader. And once I believe that he's a mind reader, that's when things start to happen because my expectations are not met and I'm disappointed and I got an attitude and I want to talk about it.
So I think in family that happens a lot because we feel like our spouse knows us, they should know. Or we feel like our kids or whoever it is in the family, oh, you should know. But we didn't communicate. And so we're frustrated because our expectation wasn't met when we didn't clearly communicate our expectations.
So this is good, Bobby, because I think the major problem, even in relationships, when it all comes down to it, is how do you handle unmet expectations, even when you communicate it? Even when you communicate. So what do you like? We're not going to answer that yet. We're going to get to that. But the reality is, we all have unmet expectations, even when we communicate it. Like, hey, you should know that that doesn't make me feel good.
And they don't execute the expectation.
Exactly. It's not executed. Right. And it happens all over the place because at the end of the day, like I'm telling you, I don't care who you are going to be faced with unmet expectations. And now you have to figure out, when my expectations have not been met, how am I going to operate?
But don't you think that a lot of times we expect things because it's the way we would do it?
Absolutely.
And that's unfair when you think about our shape, what we do in growth track, and how our Enneagram is different, how our gifts are different. Why are we continuing to expect what we would do from somebody else who's designed differently? Who sees the world differently. We can't expect them to be us. And I think a lot of times we expect our children to be little moms and little dads like we are, but God didn't design them to be a carbon copy.
I mean, again, when you're talking about, we just went through kids and significant others and family members, right? Like y'all just, I ain't gonna ask y'all, I ain't in your business, but y'all just went on a cruise. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all look wonderful, and I love the pictures. The pictures are beautiful. Y'all are like flashy. Y'all got into all the black and all, but I ain't gonna ask you what expectations did not happen that caused some friction. I don't know your business. I ain't gonna ask that.
You said you wanted us to be honest. So
no, you gotta
ask.
Right. I mean, but people say, I mean, in a very generic way, like talk about, hey, how are expectations? Because one of the most painful things, let me just be clearly honest about, I don't too much care about what other people, how they act outside there, but people in my family, when you get hurt by your family, right?
Yeah.
It's an unmet expectation because you expect that your family gonna act right. So yeah, you want to talk
But I
about that?
think because we have a higher expectation of family, that's why we get hurt more. Because we do have that, and then when family doesn't come through, or when family looks at us as if we're the negative person or we're the one who did something wrong, we just have this higher expectation, and then when it's family,
Yeah.
And
Because why should you expect your family to act
I
right?
think with family, you expect them to know your heart. Like
And
you've
to
been
care.
around me all this time, for all of these years. You know how I operate at this point. And so if you accuse me or hurt me, or have these expectations that's unrealistic, then how fair is that to me?
Yeah, no, that's good. And so here's where the problem lies in that statement alone. I hear what you're saying, but don't you think we may have to decrease the expectation that other people even care how we feel and think?
I think that we do, and I think that at some point we decide we have to create boundaries, and some people we start to love from a distance.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to allow yourself to continue.
And you can't change how other people operate.
But
no
you
matter
can
what,
change your response.
you can change your
Right,
response.
that's
And so when we talk about this whole idea of unmet expectation, so today go ahead and put in the chat, put in the right, type it in. What are some things that are unmet expectations for you? Like the government. Think about this right now. We have there are so many people that have an expectation that, oh, if I get that president in, it's gonna work out for me, or I get that elected official, and every single time you get let down because you have an expectation. Hey, how about this one? Church leaders, pastors, and I'm a pastor myself. An unmet expectation. I thought the church leader would do this. I thought the pastor would do that.
So what happens when the unmet expectation comes from somebody who's a church leader and a family member?
Okay.
You said you want to keep it real.
Yeah. So it's every now and then you get one of these what ifs, and it stumps you, right? Because you wouldn't expect to get banged up by a church leader, pastor, and the person is in your family, and now you have to figure out how do I navigate through the pain of that, and how do I get healing in the midst of that?
Because the other thing is that when we are hurting, our kids hurt. Like I know that Julia feeds off of me. I know that if I'm sad, Vic will get sad. Like they don't want anything happening to their mom.
Right, they love
So
them.
when we go through these things, we have to figure out how do we navigate and how do we help our kids navigate as well.
Yeah. I think that's real. I think the Bible has something to say about unmet expectations as well. And I would love to just get your feedback on this, because when I was trying to decide, hey, what narrative, and there's so many different narratives of unmet expectations with people in the Bible, but the story of Mary and Martha really popped out at me. And so we're looking at Luke 10, verse 38 through 42, and it says, as Jesus and his disciples were on their way, they came to a village where a woman named Martha, everybody say Martha. Martha opened up her home to him, and that him is Jesus. And she had a sister whose name called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. And so here, Jesus comes into town, comes over to Martha's place. I'm sure my wife has told me, hey, if Jesus comes to my house, I want to make sure everything is right. It's perfect. I want to make sure my expectation, I think Jesus would want to have the house looking clean and the house looking nice, right? But that's how the expectation that we build up, and that Martha says, Martha was distracted by all the preparation that had to be made. So she's making this preparation, which, by the way, she had an expectation that Mary would help her. And she came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister sitting all up under you has left me to do work by myself? Now, before we criticize Mary, let's be honest. every now and then, you'll be working on something and you're asking the question, why ain't nobody helping me?
Right.
So let's just be real about
Right.
this. That makes sense to me.
Right, it
I get that. But it's interesting what happens. Jesus says, she says, tell her to help me. I just wondered, how she really said
I
that.
think she probably said, what you need to do is,
Handle the attitude fast.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Get up and do something.
Just tell her to help me.
and had the nerve to tell Jesus what he should tell her.
Right. Which I think that's a strong point. I thought about that. Do you realize you giving orders to Jesus to do something?
It's like a kid running to their mom. Mom, tell her.
Right, exactly. And Jesus says, Martha, Martha. Now, if he calls your name twice, it's something.
Yeah.
He didn't just say Martha.
That means you better listen.
He said, Martha, Martha. The Lord answered, you're worried and upset about too many things. And I would even say, I think we have expectations sometimes about too many things.
Yeah.
We just do. But few things are needed, and indeed only one right now. This is what's needed right now. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. We have expectations all over the place of things we want to do and how we want things to be done. And maybe Jesus might be saying, instead of having all your expectation in things and people and how you want people to conduct themselves, how about spend some time with me?
You relax.
Yeah, why don't you chill with me?
So Martha was spending all that time getting ready for Jesus, but Jesus just wanted her to chill with him. Just sit in his presence, just be with him. To me,
I love that.
To me, that's like what we do when we've been in the church world so long. There's so much tradition, there's so much around going to church and being in church. But how many times do we really just, sit with Jesus?
See, I love that because we think that Jesus' expectation is for us to go out and do a bunch of work and to work like that's what I'm hearing. I got that from you. I have some what ifs as we're coming to a close on this. When it comes down to expectation, what if we chose what is better? What Jesus says, this you got all of this happening, Martha, you're doing so many things. What if we chose what's better? I think instead of having expectation that something would fulfill you, what if we just had this expectation that we're going to lay before God and that we would give our time, the energy that we give to other stuff pleasing us, that we would have more of an expectation that God wants to spend time with us and that we would spend time with him. What if we stop trying to change and control people? What if, as Martha was aware of her significance, that what if Mary understood the most important part, what if we spent more time with Jesus? What if instead of getting up every day and having this expectation that if this happens, it's going to make me feel better. If that happens, because those are expectations, what if we just had this expectation that God would fulfill us? Number 3, what if we decreased a little bit of our expectation of others and really, now this is a hard one, increase our expectation of ourselves? Because here's the thing, sometimes we're trying to live out our life in and through people. Anybody?
Why is it that we keep having expectations of people who demonstrate to us that they won't meet those expectations, but we seem to have a hard time expecting God to come through? I mean, I know there's a difference. He's invisible. We can't see him. But anyone who has trusted God has seen him come through. So why are we having such high expectations of people and such low expectations of God?
Whoa, no. I ain't letting you just say that and not say it again.
So
I want you to say that now. Say that with your chest.
What if
Yeah.
we had higher expectations of the God who always comes through and lowered our expectations of people who demonstrated that they won't come through?
Well, you didn't even know what I was going to say at the end, and you done closed my message. You done shut it down. Let's just we'll hit it right here. What if we increased our expectation of what God wants to do in our life, because we know that he wants to do exceedingly abundantly beyond anything that we imagine or think? I want to end with this. what if we decrease, going back to what you said, what if we decrease our expectation in others and put an expectation on what God can do to fulfill things in our own lives? And so with that, I want to close in a word of prayer. Father, thank you so much, Lord, for today. And Father, thank you so much for the ways in which we all have expectation. We have fallen prey and sometimes fall into idolatry over the things that we desire and want from others and situations being lined up right to make us feel well, Lord. Father, I'm asking you, just in the same way that Mary did what was right, that the expectation that Martha had did not supersede the expectation that Mary had, that if I could just spend time with Jesus, and Jesus calls it better. Father, I'm asking right now, Lord, that you would cultivate in us, Lord, a heart to desire after you and have an expectation of you over expectation of others. And I pray this in Jesus' name. And as we always say, go and change the world.